guys, I hope you're as excited as I am to finally release this segment called Practice What You Preach. As some of you may know, I had previously recorded videos around this time last year, and I got a lot of feedback regarding those videos. They were mostly motivational. They were focused on a book called 30 Days Towards a New Attitude, and it actually helped a lot of the people around me as well as myself to really focus on those weaknesses within my attitude and things that I need to fix within myself. And I got a lot of feedback from that, whether that was through private messages or people that just reached out to me in person and told me that those videos were very effective and helpful for them. So that really motivated me to want to start this vlog to really motivate and inspire those people around me. I've been actually wanting to start this for quite a while. For the last couple of months, I've been struggling personally, spiritually, physically, everything. And so that kind of delayed the process of me starting. As if some of you might know, I have a group called Transparent Movement where I have people meet at my house and we kind of do group discussions and talk and help each other get through difficult situations in our lives. And that was put on hold as well because I'm in school and work and also have my child. But Practice What You Preach came about sort of in just kind of like a dream. I was sleeping and I woke up with this just horrible dream, and I was just like so fed up of what was going on in my life and the things that were happening, and I just decided that enough was enough and I wanted to pursue the things that God has told me that I was going to do, as well as the goals that I put out for myself. So what I want to do is give you guys another perspective on Practice What You Preach. So this whole series is going to be struggle inspired. You know, currently I'm in the middle of my process, in the middle of different situations in my life that aren't so pretty. But I've kind of taken the look on it as you are able to practice while you preach. The stigma or the mentality that most people have is that you wait until a process is over or until you have overcome that process in order to start speaking on it or to start helping others get through that same process. But I was kind of inspired that people around me are inspired by me when I speak about my process and about things that I go through that are similar to what they're going through. It kind of gives them the motivation that they can come out of whatever situation they're in. For those of you that know me, I've been through many struggles in my life, and I've been able to overcome those thanks to God. He's always been by my side, and so it's so rewarding for me to be able to use that to other people's advantage, to be able to help them get out of different situations. So, as I was saying, it inspires me. It inspires me to be able to help other people. It inspires me to be able to see people go through processes in life and be able to stand up and say, you know what, I'm not going to stay stagnant in this situation. I'm not going to stay stuck. I'm not going to just kind of mourn forever. I'm not going to stay stuck and sulking in this negativity, into this sadness, into depression, into anxiety, all the things that we hear about on a day-to-day basis. I mean, every now and then we hear suicides, whether that's from people that young kids or people in high school, adults, all over the world we hear about these suicides that are happening, and it's all related to mental health and mental disease. So I feel like if we're able to grasp the idea that you're able to get out of your process when you choose to get out of your process, then we will have the courage and the braveness that we need to stand up in the middle of our process instead of waiting for the storm to pass. So I want to just kind of reflect on a Bible verse called from 2 Corinthians 12, and it says, 3 different times I begged the Lord to take it away. This is Paul speaking, and he says, each time God said, my grace is all you need, my power works best in weakness. God in itself, like when I read that, I just was so impacted because God tells you right there that His power works best in His weakness. So why must we wait till our process is over to start speaking about what God is doing in our lives when He's with us at all times? Through the storm, He's with us. He's holding our hand. He's helping us. He's the one that listens to you when you cry and no one else is around. He's the one that's there when you think that no one understands. He's the one that has the ultimate understanding. He's the one that heals when no one else can heal, and there's a doctor that's giving you a diagnosis and you would feel like there's no end and they're giving you a certain time limit. God is the one that has the ultimate say in every single situation. Financially, He's the one that provides, that opens the doors and gives you the opportunities that you need to be able to succeed financially in your business life, whatever aspect of your life. Maybe it's not the same as my process, maybe it's in a different form of it, but God is present throughout all of it. And so in this verse He says, my grace is all you need. All we need is God's grace. My power works best in weakness. His power works best in weakness. It is then, in the middle of our process, in the middle of our weaknesses, that we can see how great God is and all the things that He can do for us. So He says, so now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ can work through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and in the insults, the hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, I am strong. I just want to motivate you guys, whatever situation you're going through. My situations right now include going through a divorce, something that's really tough. Maybe you haven't gone through that specific situation, but you've been in a bad relationship that you've had to get out of after many years. Whatever situation you're going through, just know that through your weakness, through that situation, God is there to help you. And it is those situations that are going to make you stronger, that are going to help you become a more, that's going to build your character. So to go on, being able to practice what you preach means being able to push through your process. We always have this idea that we want to wait for the storm to pass, for the rain to pass, to then speak about our process. Many of us have different ways of communicating when we're in a certain situation in our lives or when we are suffering. I'm someone that cries a lot, and I've been made fun of that before, but that's how I release my stress, my emotion. There's a lot of different ways that people release that. It could be in really negative ways. They can become aggressive or combative, or you can soak into an addiction, go into drugs or alcohol, or into sex, or many different things that people use as an outlet when they were going through a process and they feel like they don't have an answer, they don't know where to go, what to do. And so what practice what you preach means is we're not going to wait and soak in all those things and consume all the things of the world when we can just go to God and trust that this process needs to happen. Whatever it is that you're going through has to happen in order for you to get and reach the purpose that God has for you. And so when you understand that fully and you can absorb that and say, you know what? I might not understand what's going on. I might not know how I'm going to get through this. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but today I'm going to stand up and I'm going to say enough is enough. I'm going to say I'm going to do what I have to do from my end to make sure that this process comes by quick, that this process doesn't affect me and break me. Because I was reading a book not too long ago from Joyce Meyer, and it's called The Mind Connection. And she makes a reference and she talks about how the same situation that has the power to make you is the same situation that has the power to break you. So you have to make the decision. You have to make the decision. Every situation, every process that you have in your life has an outcome. It can either make you or it can either break you. And you are the one right in the middle that has to make that decision. Whether this situation is really going to make you who you are. Is this divorce going to make Nicole, just another statistic? Or is this situation, such as divorce, going to make me someone that's going to stand up and say, you know what, this isn't going to determine who I am as a person. This just happens to be something that happened to me and something that had to happen in order for me to grow, to build character, to learn my weaknesses, to learn my strengths, and to move on from it. Because it's so easy for us to get stuck in our situation, and whatever it is, whether that's financially, something really bad happens where you lose your job, and all of a sudden you're struggling for months, and you feel like you can't catch up. It's so easy for you to say, you know what, I'm never going to come out of this. I'm just going to give up my dreams, my career, my business, whatever it is that you have, you give it up because you're struggling in the moment. But if you were to just see that after this process, you were just going to see the glory of God in your life in an amazing way, you would stay strong and firm in what you believe in throughout the whole process, and then you would be able to see what God has in store. But the problem is that we just get so stuck in the process, and we get blinded because we don't know how to deal, and we start getting overwhelmed, and we don't know how we're going to pay this and how we're going to pay that, and we don't know how we're going to be able to heal our heart and become whole again. And all these things start happening, and it's like domino effect where we don't know what to do anymore, and things, instead of getting better, are just getting worse. But I'm here to tell you, things are going to get better. It might take time, may not be on your time, but God knows everything. He knows how He designs everything, why things happen. And He's going to help you make it. He's going to help you make it, whatever it is, if you just stay focused, if you stay focused on what it is that God has spoken over your life, whatever your purpose is in life, whatever that may be, you need to stay focused on it. As most of you know, I'm sure I've spoken about it before on social media, I'm in the middle of writing a book. Over the past 4 to 5 months, I haven't written not one word. Something that I was so motivated towards, something that I was so anxious to do, something that God spoke to me about. I was writing, I had 4 chapters, and all of a sudden, I get this news, and I stopped writing completely. This is how you can see how the devil works in your life to stop. When he sees that something good is happening, when he sees that you have a purpose in life, all of a sudden something happens and it distracts you and takes you away from the purpose that God has already spoken over you. So I stopped writing, and I cannot count the many times that people have asked me, Nicole, what happened? You were writing your book. How far along are you? And I'm just like, oh, I haven't written yet. Oh, it's still on chapter 4. And every single time someone told me, it was like, don't forget your purpose. Don't forget the things that I have spoken over you. Don't forget the things that I have already designed and prepared for you. Yet the devil comes in your way and does something that makes you get distracted. So I want to go to Romans 5:3-5. And this is just to reinforce what we're speaking about. And in this Bible verse it says, we can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance. So right here it tells us that there's always a purpose to everything. Our problems and the things that we go through, the trials that we go through, the obstacles, they're there for a reason. They build endurance. And it says, and endurance develops strength of character. Is exactly what I was telling you. Emotions are necessary. It's necessary for us to get angry and sad, and there's limits and boundaries to everything, but they're all necessary because they build our character. And character strengthens our confident hope of salvation, and this hope will not lead to disappointment, for we know how dearly God loves us because He has given us the Holy Spirit to fill our hearts with His love. His love endures forever. It's what helps us get through every single situation that we go through in life. It doesn't matter what it is. I want to start breaking down the word practice. Practice, when we're talking about practice what you preach, I want you to take your mind away from what you would naturally think when you hear this. But think about any time in your life where you've had to practice something. Going back to middle school or even elementary school, when you have to practice your math, your multiplication tables, and you have to sit at the table, with your mom or your dad or your sister or whoever, and you're practicing it, and you had to practice multiple times until you got it perfect. You had to keep memorizing them until you got it right. Same thing happens when you learn how to ride a bike or to read. You had to continue to practice. It was never something that just happened from one day to the next. And you need to apply that to your everyday life and to the processes that you go through. We have this mentality and this stigma, practice what you preach. You know, it's something that somebody usually says to you in more of a shameful way, or you need to practice what you preach. That's what most people say. That's how it's usually used in context. But I want you to completely forget that and think about the word practice. Think about you having to practice something in order to get to your end goal. There's always a goal. And right now we're talking about process. So think about your goal is to finish your process, to overcome the battle that you're in right now. Okay? And you have to practice. You have to continue to get up. And if you fall, but you get back up. And that's what I mean by practice. As I was preparing for this, I thought about my son. My son is 14 months old and he's in the process of learning how to walk. And he has his days. There's days where he gets up and he just wants to be held. He wants mommy to pick him up, or he wants to just crawl. And there's other days where he gets up and all he does is want you to hold him by his one hand so he can walk, or he can try to walk. And he wants to hold on to everything near him, the furniture, whatever's near him, in order to walk. But his main purpose is to learn how to walk. And that doesn't change whether it's a day that he feels lazy or it's a day that he wants to walk. That purpose, that goal, remains the same throughout the whole time. It just so happens that one day he feels lazy. Think about yourself and your walk with God. You don't always feel upbeat. You don't always feel motivated. I don't wake up every day feeling motivated. I don't wake up every day with the energy to fight whatever comes my way. But I know that I have a purpose, a reason to live for, something that I need to reach. And in order for me to reach that, even though I have days where I feel lazy, where I don't want to pray, where I don't want to go to church, I know that I need to snap out of it. I know that there has to be a moment where I wake up the next day and I need to say, okay, that's done and over with. I need to start fighting again. And that's the mentality that I need you to think when you think of practice. You need to practice overcoming your process. You need to practice overcoming your situation. You need to get up and say, today's the day I'm going to fight. And guess what? If you fall that day, if you break down crying, if you give up, that has to be done that day. The next day, you got to get up and try all over again. Because we can do this. We can overcome the process. There's nothing impossible for God. And I need you to stay focused on your goal. God calls us to have a childlike mentality sometimes, and more like so, he's talking about our heart and our humbleness. Because if you think of a child's heart, it's innocent, it's pure. And that's what God wants us to do. He wants us to not think so much about all the repercussions, all the consequences of our process, all the things that are happening, how it's happening, why it's happening. He just wants us to stay focused on the end goal and walk to it. And do what you have to do. He's there to hold your hand, but you got to take the steps. So, I need you to believe with me that we can impact other people, that we don't have to fit this perfect image. Most of the reason why people stay stagnant in their situation is because they're so afraid of what people will think. They're so afraid to speak because someone is going to judge. They're so afraid to say, I need help, because they're afraid of rejection. And we need to get that mentality out. We need to stop thinking like that, because that's the reason why you're stuck in your process. Sometimes you are so deep in your situation that you don't realize how much time goes by, and all that time that's passing by, you could be working on your purpose. You could be doing things to help other people. Right now, we have so many things going on in the world. You think about all the environmental things that are happening with hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes that are just tragic all over the world. You think about the shootings, the massive shootings in all of history. In just 2 years, we've had 2 massive shootings killing many, many innocent people. And we are so worried about our next paycheck, so worried about some of the smallest things. And people are dying without salvation. People are dying without knowing that there's purpose, that there's life, that there's positive things. We get so easily drawn into the things of society, the things that the society says is okay and what says it's not okay. We need to be brave, and God calls us to be brave. The last Bible verse I want to turn to is in Deuteronomy. And it's in Deuteronomy 31, 6, 8. And it says, "So be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid and do not panic before them. For the Lord your God will personally go ahead of you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you." That is something you should live by. Be strong. Be courageous. Stand up in the middle of whatever process you're in. And know who God is in your life. It says, "For you will lead these people into the land that the Lord swore for their ancestors he would give them. You are the one who will divide it among them as their grants of land. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord will personally go ahead of you. He will be with you, and He will never fail you nor abandon you. God is not going to leave your side. You might not know who God is right now in your life. You might have never heard about God before. You might not believe in God. You might have had God in your life and trusted in Him, and something really bad happened to you, and all of a sudden you stop believing. Whatever your circumstance is, I want you to trust. Trust me today. I dare you to trust me today and give God the opportunity to work in your situation, to work in your life, to work in whatever process you're going through. Nothing is impossible for Him. Don't give up. I see His hand in my life every day. In some way or another, God has always shown His hand in my life, in the processes that I've been through. Right now, my process is divorce, but many years ago, it was something else. And before that, it was something else. And the reason why I speak so strongly about this is because I got so caught up in my processes that time kept passing and time kept passing. And before you know it, my purpose was being delayed. And I refuse to stand here and watch purposes just go away because the devil wants to have a part of in your life and not say something. I motivate you today. I inspire you today to stand up whatever you are going through. I am here for you. I don't say that to say that. If you need prayer, I need you to contact me. If you need help in whatever, if you wanted just someone to listen, I am here for you. You need to fully practice what you preach. That means that right now, I am stating that I am not perfect. I do not have it all together. My life has a lot to improve before I can reach the full purpose that God has set for me. But I am not willing to stay stuck, to stay crying every day. I am not willing to let days go by of me mourning my divorce, or me staying stuck in the stress of how I'm going to be a single mom, or how I'm going to deal with all the things, all the consequences that come from our processes. I admit that I have a lot to work on. There's a lot of things within my walk with God that I need to change. But we need to stop thinking about the practice what you preach as something that we have to fit this perfect form. Who decides what that perfect form is? God is the only one that can judge us. And so I dare you, I encourage you, I ask you to please take this journey with me. Let's get out of our process. Let's say no more to soaking in this situation that you're in right now. I am here for you. So guys, I hope this message was inspiring, motivating to you. It's such a blessing for me to be able to impart in your life, however that is. I know that you guys might be at home or in your car, wherever you are listening to this message. I hope you're inspired and that God touches your heart and opens your mind to things that you might not have thought of before. You guys can keep up with my blog through social media. It's going to be posted on YouTube and Facebook. The link will be down below. Please comment and like. As I said before, I love the feedback, but the most important thing you can do is share, share, share. Someone needs to hear this message. Even if it doesn't apply to you, someone needs to hear this message. I love you guys. Bye. God bless.